Oh my gosh.
In this game, it's going to be Othard's lies.
All right. Fusion.
Garlemald's lies and alternative facts.
So there's an aspect to the interview that, and I'm really glad that you guys asked this, because I think that this has been a concern, especially since we've seen some of the consolidations that we have. Asking about could ability consolidation, come from combos in PvP into PvE. What did you think about Yoshi's response to this question?
I mean, it makes sense. Basically what they said,
don't even justify this.
No, and I'm not just like, I don't think we need it. It would oversimplify stuff, because right now what he said is it would be hard because you would have to take the directionals into consideration. And there's some jobs too, like I think Monk was the example he gave, where there's so many different like paths for each combo that you can take, where it would really be a pain in the ass. They'd have to rework all those combos and really simplify them, and it would take a lot of the variety out of those jobs.
Okay, so
and it would take a lot of the skill out too.
Yeah, see, that's my concern. He sits here and says stuff like, probably not, because it would be too hard to do. What about probably not, because it would undercut the complexity of the battle system?
Yeah, I think he does kind of a disservice to himself, not really making a defense to the game design that he's laid out. I mean, that's I think, and again, going back to the last episode, I think that's one of the primary concerns that I've been voicing, has been the consistent concessions that Square Enix seems like they've been making in favor of trying to attract an audience that hasn't already been paying the bills for 4 years. And to me, that's kind of frustrating, especially as one of those dudes who feels like a rube who, for paying the bills for 4 years. That to me is the thing that I get blown away and frustrated by. That here you have a perfect, you have a perfect opportunity to defend your game design, and instead you go, oh yeah, I'm just open to the idea of making it easier. That seriously makes me question the long-term investment of players to FF14. Like, it makes me question my own long-term investment.
Especially because they're already kind of simplifying it in a way that like everyone can start to understand and do it easier, but yet to be the one who's able to get max DPS is where you need to learn the fight, learn where can I throw this part of my combo and where do I need to dodge in order to do this move and get the right positional. Taking all of that out into one button is it totally changed. I don't know. I can't even form a coherent thought because it's so dumb. It's stupid. It makes no sense, and I can't even believe he's considering doing that.
Yeah,
PvP makes sense because there's so much going on, right? We were saying this last time. There's so much going on in PvP. There's people going everywhere. There's explosions. There's people chasing you down and whatever. I get it, but in PvE, where it becomes I don't know.
Yeah, if PvE mobs moved like PvP ones, not having directionals would make sense. Like trying to have directionals in PvP would be impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, keep in mind too. I mean, he didn't say no. But he also has said no if 14 is going to be on the Switch, right? He won't say no. He's like, well, maybe, it's I think it's his way of saying
people who are asking for it without saying no.
Right. So it's yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Well, it is definitely like a Japanese thing to not outright say no to ideas. Like that's just a cultural thing.
I don't know.
I mean, in this particular case, he says, that underlying system, because they're using it for PvP, like that's there, but they would have to make it's not impossible. We could maybe do it. Is what he's saying. He's not saying that they would ever do it or that they won't ever do it, but it's like, yeah,
it might be
maybe
something that we could consider if there is a large demand for it.
And see, that's the kind of
that's like the new. Please look forward to it.
But that's
a large enough demand.
That's the kind of language that we heard around the jump potion. That's the kind of language that we've heard around the cash shop,
around easy mode for raiding.
What kind of indication?
But the thing is, there was easy mode demand. There was not a jump potion demand. So that's where I'm a little bit confused.
Well, I mean, if you consider people who don't play this game, then yeah, I think there was a demand for jump potion.
But was there though? I never saw anyone saying, "Oh man, I want to play 14, but I'm not because there's no jump potion." Like nobody
you know what,
said that.
Nika?
Nobody said that, but what it is there's people that have friends playing the game, and they're like, "I would love to play that game with you," and then they get in and they say, "Oh, I have all this shit to do to catch up to you," and then they lose interest and they stop playing. That's where the jump potion came in.
Yes.
Then that person is not cut out for an MMO.
If you translate people quitting before they hit 50 as demand for a jump potion.
Well, plus they also had it in the Korean version, and they were making money off of it, so why not?
By
No, I
that
see it from a
justification,
business standpoint,
okay, but
but in terms of like what they're considering what players want or not, I understand from the business perspective, but from the players' demand.
Well, I think in that regard, though, right? You say, okay, do people want this? Let's spend the time on it. They already developed it, so it's just a matter of like throwing over a couple. Have localization, write up a couple different terms, and throw them on the cash app. There's not that much involved in bringing it over to the global.
No, you're right. You're right.
Version.
No,
so it's
no,
not
no.
like they're wasting dev time or anything like that.
Right, but the answer to why not is because it serves to demotivate the people who have been there and playing your game.
We've already established they don't care
long
about those
term.
people.
But they need to. Okay, if the audience is the lifeblood of your MMO, if you're subscription based, because it is, FF14 is still a subscription model game. Your subscription base is your lifeblood. That's what you survive by. And if you've been able to survive and profit off of the people that you already have, trying to go and find and attract a whole new audience does not serve the people who have already been there. It's only going to serve to alienate them. Mm-hmm. And I think a decision like this does alienate a lot of people who have been playing this game very loyally for a very long time. I feel it too. I'm just as frustrated as those people are, because I do feel like that undercuts a whole lot of, work and effort that people end up putting in.
Well, you put it that way, and that's nothing new. I mean, even, it's, every patch comes out, they make old shit easier. Like, it's not really that train of thought from that.
But that's the thing, is that they are already doing that, right? Like the process to go from 1 to 60 is not that fucking bad. These people who are joining their friends and going, I can't play with them automatically, then I'm going to go do something else.
You can, because I have plenty of friends that actually just recently started, and I do dungeons with them all the time. Level sync easy.
My point is that the people who you have right now, a vast majority of them have been playing longer than a year. Some of them have been playing a lot longer than that. Do you really think can Square Enix really reasonably bank on being able to depend on someone who's not even willing to go through the leveling process, which, by the way, we know that Yoshi P considers the leveling process content and valid content. People have fun with it,
and
by
compelling
God.
Content.
Compelling content. Yeah, that's what it was. And so if that's compelling content, and you get an entire player base that just gets to skip that, like what does that do to your long-term player base to keep them logging in? Well, what? That they're playing with their friends? No. The ask originally from the developer of the new player to from the start was not that big. It was not that drastic. And the fact that they keep easing requirements for shit as content comes out really undercuts the need or even the justification for a jump potion on any level.
And I think if anyone's bitching that they can't come, like they started the game and they can't play with their friends, no, it's because your friend isn't making time to play with you, because there are plenty of things that you can do with low levels. And if they are not playing with you, that means they don't care enough about you. Not because you need a jump potion. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
New friends who will play with you as a low level.
I agree with that, and we glanced on the jump potion last week without a real opportunity to dig in deep on it, and I just again, the language that they're using around taking and simplifying PvE even further is language that we've seen, creep around other features that have been implemented that, it's pretty questionable to whether or not the jump potion long term is going to be good or bad. My only point is that I think it's going to be bad. I think long term you're going to see way more people who are just, like they're not going to put up with it. Like they're just
if people are going to
demotivated.
quit because somebody could like pay money to skip stuff, like then they're a precious little snowflake, in my opinion. Like everyone's like complaining, like everybody's like stance, right, that they're bad is like, oh, I'm going to do like Duty Finder and I'm going to have like really bad players. We have that shit already. It's not going to make a damn bit of difference. If you're doing raid groups and stuff, you're fine. These new people aren't going to bug you. If anything, they're going to come in, they'll stick around, maybe they'll throw up some new stuff on the market board. New players are always a good thing, but it's not like, all these like terrible players are going to like have that big of an impact versus what it is right now.
Fusion, you're absolutely
so
right.
Instead, we're going to have special little snowflakes who demand that they pay another $80 to $100 to start playing the game. Which,
exactly.
By the way, I don't think is ever going to happen, because who's going to play a game where it's like, oh, to play this game with me, start by paying $100.
I mean, it's really fucking convenient to lay the label that they're special little snowflakes on them when it's really, this is the acquiescence to pressure, external pressure on the company to cater to people who have not been playing the game. My whole point is that 4-5 years into the development of this game, they still think they can get new people. Are they fucking crazy?
I mean, add an expansion. Of course
Are they stupid? Are they being Square Enix is being willfully fucking ignorant at this point if they think 5 years into the development of an MMO they can attract enough new people that this shit is not going to end up bleeding their bottom line dry. They're out of their fucking mind.
It's the big picture we're talking about right here, because you're right. The jump potion all on its own is fine. You're essentially trying to get extra money out of those people that don't make it all the way there, right? They make it halfway through leveling, they quit. You want to get an extra $100 out of them, and then they'll just quit anyway. That's fine. That's cool. The jump potion by itself is not the problem. The problem is they keep making concessions. They keep making decisions that are similar to the jump potion.
Right.
And when you have 5, 6, 7, 8 decisions that are on the same level as a jump potion, then the long-term players, they start to see all this, and they're like, all the money, all the development that went into these different things could have been spent making this game more, or increasing the life of this game for veteran players who would then bring in your new people.
Dev time isn't even a question. Like, are you serious? Like all these like concessions they make to like make older content easier to go through. It's like they go into the code and they make something. They change something from like a 10 to a 3 or so. Like it's so minimal.
No. Don't mistake that. No, we're talking about concessions on the level of like, oh, hey, so Stormblood's got a bigger budget, but guess what? We're going to be receiving objectively less content. We're going to be receiving objectively fewer dungeons per patch.
Oh god.
Because why? Because what hit to your bottom line did you need to take that, oh, you can't be able to make the same fucking amount of content that you did in Heavensward, which was a step down from a Realm Reborn? Exactly. Don't tout your bigger budget and then a smaller like a smaller bottom line for us in terms of content. That's ridiculous. You're cutting you're fucking bleeding your shit. Like
where are you getting that we're getting less content?
One of the interviews, MMORPGs interview.
They didn't say less content. What they said was
they're spreading it out differently. It's not less content.
No, less dungeons. We're only getting less. Every other patch, we're only getting 1 dungeon instead of 2.
But here's the problem. They say that we're getting 2 dungeons on the even, 1 dungeon's on the odds, but we're getting new compelling content. My question
But he also says leveling job is compelling content. So what the fuck counts as compelling content?
My question is exactly what evidence do you have that is compelling content? From A Realm Reborn to Heavensward, we saw that Hildebrand got neutered, okay? We got Deep Dungeon, which was actually fun and relevant for a lot longer than anything else. But even when we look at
Diadem.
The first Diadem fell flat on its face. Okay, fine. They're going to redo it. They bring us Diadem 2.0, which was delayed because they apparently messed something up, and then when it came out, it still fell flat on its face. So tell me, from A Realm Reborn, what evidence do we have that they are able to come up with compelling content?
enough to supplement like getting less dungeons.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to make your tome grind more ubiquitous for your casual players in favor of what?
I'm not sure it is even making anything more ubiquitous. It's just making it more boring.
In favor of what, though?
I want to point out, you said what, one new dungeon with each patch?
No. The even patches
you get
two.
every main patch you get 2, and then on the off patches you get one new dungeon.
That's not what it said. It said the even patches are 2 dungeons and the odd patches are 1 dungeon. That would be 3.1 is odd, 3.2 is even, 3.3 is odd.
So there's another concession that we've taken.
Contain an odd number patches will have 1 dungeon, and then some other new content, and then you'll have.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not saying main patches and spin-off patches. It's saying odd and even patches.
So are you excited to have your expert roulette only have 3 dungeons?
So
you guys are just fuck it. Yeah, just talk right over the donation. That's great, guys. Awesome. Good job.
Oh, sorry.
That's done now. Way to go.
Bitching so much. We're so passionate we couldn't even
Thank you for the $10, Veldier.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And saying no jump potion needed. I echo that. And again, that is objectively less content, and it's a step down again from A Realm Reborn. And that's the thing that's frustrating is the continual concessions. And how much shrinking content do we put up with until it's you get one dungeon per patch. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're giving us something brand new and compelling, as in like something so new to this game, like Palace of the Dead, every odd numbered patch. Sure. But that's not what's gonna happen. Absolutely not.
But you know what?
There's no way that's what's going to happen.
But you know what? You have spent all of your goodwill. You know what I mean? Like you can call it compelling content all you want. I've got to see it first. Like I'm not call it whatever you want. Eureka, Palace, whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. Okay? I have to get my hands on the content before I'm going to go, oh, yeah, that was definitely worth sacrificing a dungeon. Because
they definitely, like what we were talking about before, is they really just want us to have 1 week of content only and then log off to the next patch. At this point, they're getting closer and closer to that.
That is yes.
I will concede this to them. It's not hard to one-up a dungeon. So just if you give us something good, if you actually give us something that's better than that 1 dungeon, I will eat my words and I will kiss your feet all day. But
yeah, because that's me.
I'm willing.
I try to be optimistic about that. Like, you know me, like I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But like what Nate was or what Anira was saying is like, look at their track record. Where is the proof that is what's going to happen?
Because again, what did everyone say at FanFest when someone would go, oh man, I'm concerned that Stormblood may not end up even matching up to Heavensward. They go, oh, don't worry, Square Enix is spending more money on the budget. And then you look at what they've outlined for Stormblood and you go, well, where's that money going? Like
marketing.
Cinnabon?
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Oh, no, stop. Fusion, if Twitter has taught me anything, it's that clearly your marketing budget and your dev budget come out of 2 separate hats. So I don't so that justification doesn't work. It comes out of 2 separate hats. Seriously, someone tried to pass that off as an argument.
Someone just mentioned like they mentioned we have to wait and see, and I'm like, no. I'm done waiting and seeing.
Dude, that whole
I have been waiting and seeing since
Heaven's Ward.
Yeah, I've been waiting and seeing since 3.0.
You know what's going to happen?
I'm done waiting and seeing.
Heaven's Ward will come out, it'll flop, and people's justification will be, well, guys, you have to cut them a break. They're busy working on the compelling content for 4.1.
And then I'll get to 4.1, and then I'll need to wait till 4.2. I'm done with this.
So how is this? I mean, this is definitely going to end up affecting your dungeon structure if you go 2-1, 2-1, 2-1.
Yeah, we can't have an expert roulette with 1 dungeon. That's
exactly.
Not much of a roulette.
Do you know what they're going to be doing? They're going to be adding a 3rd dungeon in the odd patch to that series of dungeons, right? Like they're just going to add another one into the experts, and it's going to be the 3 that rotate, and then the next even patch when they add 2 more, that's going to be the next tier.
Yep. I remember back in 2.0 when we got 3 dungeons every single patch.
Oh, that was asking too much, though, Juxta. They overworked themselves.
And good raid content.
Interesting.
It is interesting. And
good story in the raids.
yeah.
You know, there was a question on the Nova Crystallis interview with Yoshida where they asked if there was anything that they wanted to implement, any features they wanted to implement with Stormblood that they didn't get around to. And Yoshi mentioned there was a PvP aspect or some PvP content they really wanted at launch, but everybody had already worked so hard on Stormblood it would have been disrespectful to ask them to do anything else. You know what else is disrespectful? Every expansion offering less and less to your player base.
Yeah. Especially if you're touting a bigger budget. I mean, that's that.
Two hats in here.
I know, which is why unless they're going to start teasing us like tomorrow about what this new compelling content is, we have no reason to believe them on this.
We already know what it is. It's going to be literally the shit in Eureka. That's what's going to be their compelling content every odd patch. Mark my words.
Well, look, I mean, we know that we've been knowing that there's going to be new PvP for a while now. We have new PvP. We have Eureka. We know they're looking at Blitzball at some point, which, you know, given other gold saucer stuff,
my God.
would probably flop.
Fusion.
But Blitzball's going to be awesome if that really happens.
Fusion, you talked to Yoshi about the changes to PvP and what the progression in that looks like now, and it basically came down to, now you basically, it's how many battles you fought and how much gear you've gotten.
Yeah, it's prestige. That's all it is.
They've turned PvP literally, I mean, it was already this, but now it is irreputably a glamour farm. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's literally gold saucer minigame.
I do feel like PvP has taken a pretty big hit moving forward. I am not.
But I mean, outside of like the first week of the Garo event, was it ever that popular though?
You know what?
Like I know there's a lot of like really vocal PvP people, but on the whole, like, is it really that popular?
It was more interesting.
Queuing up for it. How long are the queues for some of that?
That's the biggest issue. I know a ton of people, myself included, who every time I play PvP have a blast, but I refuse to wait 45 minutes in the queue to do it.
Yeah,
that's the issue. And so people don't play it simply because of that, or now that there's no chat and I can't say, hey, I'm new, give me a strategy. They can't because there's no fucking chat feature.
I think having first of all, I think having a 3-faction PvP system makes everything a lot more difficult. Like they really set themselves up for difficulty there because the thing that you don't, I guess you don't really consider is you need all 3 factions.
But that's even in the feast though, and the feast doesn't need that. You're right. And even the queue is still long.
I think most players by the time the feast had come out had kind of decided whether they had an invested interest in PvP or not.
But even still, people I know who have played the feast and thought it was fun don't queue up because of the queue times. So it's just an endless cycle at that point.
It is.
The faction system doesn't even matter anymore because you can queue up as a freelancer and just get popped in wherever. So it's literally just
but that was very recent.
Yeah, well, like Anero said, the damage has kind of already been done for a lot of people. And with this normalization of PvP, you might think, well, okay, now that everything's a lot more normalized, it's a lot more fair, more people will come in. But because of that, there are also people who are upset with the changes that now don't want to do it. So it's 6 of some, half a dozen of the other.
Dude, I feel like when we go and check the PvP boards in 6 months, they're going to be as empty as the Lords of Verminion boards.
Nothing is that empty.
My heart is for Yoshi P.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
shots fired.
Serious shade. Look at that. A lot of these interviews and a lot of these decisions really make me pretty concerned about the long-term health and just who Square Enix thinks is their target market.
We know who it is. New players.
The people who are not playing. Yeah, and that to me is the thing that that bums me out because I do believe at some point you have to switch your development focus from bringing people in, from acquisition to retention.
Yeah, you can't just keep a game on like a permanent blood transfusion for all of its life.
No, not unless you're WoW. Not unless you have 10 million people and you can end up absorbing that hit that you take from people unsubbing in between patches.
Here's the problem with the WoW argument is that with Legion, the only reason Legion got so many people to come back is because the veterans who were with World of Warcraft told the friends that, hey, WoW is actually fun in this expansion, come back. And you know what? Case in point right here. I came back to Legion because Kawa said, hey, this game isn't shit anymore and it's going to be better in Legion. So I came back.
And the only reason we fell off is because we were playing Final Fantasy 14. Thanks, Yoshi.
Yeah, thanks, Yoshi. Let's real quick go to our phone lines and talk to Ramina Garamond of